Just because a requirement has the word shall in it does not automatically make it a great requirement. There are a number of different problems with the requirements. One example is a sign coming out of a tunnel while you're driving saying, "Headlights on?" That sign is a prompt, a requirement to the driver that says, do the right thing with your headlights. It turns out that doing the right thing with your headlights is pretty complicated. Is it day? Is it night? Is it foggy? Is it raining? And so on. This prompt is also a little ambiguous because different drivers might have different ideas of what doing the right thing means. The types of problems you typically see in requirements include the following. A requirement may be untraceable. There's no label. System shall shut down when e-stop is activated. There's no label, so there's no nickname to use in tracing it to see if there's really a system test. That means the requirement text itself might be okay, but in the context of a software process, there's a piece missing. A requirement may be untestable, R1-1.1. The software system shall never crash. Well, that's nice, but how exactly do you test it? Do you have to run it for an infinite amount of time to see if there's a software crash? That doesn't sound viable. A requirement may be imprecise. In this case, R1.7, the system provides quick feedback to the user. How quick is quick? 300 milliseconds? 100 milliseconds? 1 nanosecond? At some point, there's a boundary below which being faster doesn't really help. Requirements might not have a measurement tolerance. R2.3, LED shall flash with a period of 500 milliseconds. Well, is that 500 milliseconds plus or minus 10 milliseconds? Or is it 500 milliseconds plus or minus 1 nanosecond, which means you have to have hardware to implement it? If there's a margin for timing, it's important that it show up in the requirements. Requirements might be too complex, and I'm not even going to try and read this one. Requirements should be broken down to single statements of some situation is happening, some part of the system does some action. This requirement should be broken down into multiple requirements. Another problematic requirement is one that describes an implementation. Pressing button W shall cause two 16-bit integer values to be added. That's not a requirement. That's a verbal sketch of an algorithm. Requirements should stay away from implementation and just describe what is supposed to happen and let the designers deal with how to make that happen.